Hi, this is Naveen Nanjundappa from 12 Principles Consulting. Today, let us discuss about who is responsible for managing the budget. Who are the potential people who could manage the budget? What do you think? Did you know about them? Let us discuss about some of the people who could potentially handle the responsibility for handling the budget management. The options could be the product owner, the Scrum Master, the Scrum team, or somebody outside the Scrum team. These are the four people who could be accountable and responsible for managing the budget. Now, it all depends on how the organizational structure is. Let us look at the benefits. Let's assume the product owner manages the budget, which typically should be a product owner in Scrum takes care of the complete product management activities, which includes the budget. But then the product ownership is to manage the budget for the product. But when it comes to the organizations, there are various different other activities like hiring, promotions, infrastructure management, and that also requires the budget. So let's see what is the benefit and what could be the outcome if the product owner owns this budget management. The accountability of the product goal and the return on investment lies with the product owner. So owning a budget is going to make their job easier and more focused towards what is required, and also the accountability of return on investment. More than just managing the budget, they could also be working with the stakeholders to get the budget required for the success of the product. So it could be easier to negotiate with the product sponsors to manage the budget. In fact, the budget management will ease out the release strategies that the product owner would typically manage. Sometimes the budget required for a specific release could be increased or decreased depending on the strategy and the infrastructure required. So the budget in the hands of a product owner would ease their decision making on the release strategies, such as fixed time release, fixed scope release, or a cost-based releases. Next, it is easier and quicker decision making for a product owner. They don't have to wait for anybody. They can take a decision based on the best suited situations and move on. At the same time, it will help the product owner to focus on the product goal. So the product goal focus for the entire team will also enable the product owner to move forward with the budget management. Of course, here I'm talking about the budget required for managing the product with respect to release strategies, roadmap, the technical skills required for the teams, as well as the infrastructure, sales, and marketing required. Of course, in the organization, there could be many more other activities for budget, and we need to take an accountability, maybe outside the team or the split between a product owner and somebody outside the team. Can a Scrum Master manage a budget? Think over it. If a Scrum Master is managing the budget, then your expectation is that the Scrum Master has a lot of experience in budget management. At the same time, a Scrum Master managing a budget could be really a tricky job because the Scrum Master's focus is to enable the team to go to the next level. Of course, the budget required to build the team, organize the team, get the infrastructure could be well managed by the Scrum Master because they can now take a decision required for developing the product, developing the team, but then the product management and the product related budget could require a lot of collaboration, which means the Scrum Master may conflict with product owner's decision at times. So the Scrum Master could be thinking about team related and the product owner always thinking about a product could have a decisions conflict when it is requiring to have a extra budget or in the decision making of budget. Delayed decision making and also requires high collaboration with the product owner. So if the product owner and the Scrum Master are not in sync, there could be a complete delay and then a tug of war between the product owner and Scrum Master for getting the budget required to move forward. At last, you always have a person who is managing the budget to have a focus on saving the budget and trying to get more with less. And that could also conflict with when the two people are involved. Let us look at the next one. What happens if the whole Scrum team is managing the budget? Let's assume the whole Scrum team is managing the budget. In that case, the team will be more matured and self-organizing. In fact, you need a more matured and self-organizing team that can take over the budget management. In such situations, a small Scrum team can take a lot of decision with respect to their product development and then their self-management activities infrastructure. They don't have to wait for anybody's approval and they can go ahead and manage their budget much more effectively. The split of the budget allocation into different areas and the decision can take locally. For example, budget required for team development, budget required for learning, budget required for product development, budget required for infrastructure, and so on. And someone else needs to have a higher accountability and responsibility of the overall budget, potentially a product owner. So looking at the overall budget spent in all the areas. In fact, you might find it easier to have the small teams manage their budget locally, and that will also speed up in decision making. But then when it comes to the scaling frameworks and scaling part, a lot of teams involved, then such decision making might be difficult, or it requires a lot of self-management skills for the teams and more matured. Let's look at somebody outside the Scrum team to manage the budget. I mean, these people can potentially look at the overall budget that is required, not just for the team, but also the organization as outside the view. The person who is looking after the budget can also collaborate and negotiate with the sponsor for more budget when needed. And that takes a time for a product owners to concentrate on their product and the necessary required functionality and customer collaborations. So this brings into the focus of the person who's taking care of a budget have to be a good negotiator and collaborator with the sponsors. The experience matter. It's not an easy job to get a budget and convince a sponsor to add more budget or to request for additional support when it is required. Lastly, it is easy to scale and manage multiple teams. The same activities repeated across multiple teams can be easily managed if there is somebody outside the team. Now, there are a lot of options. Each one has their own pros and cons. You can think about whom do you think is responsible for managing the budget? What are your thoughts? Is that a Scrum Master, product owner, Scrum team, or somebody outside the Scrum team? Think about it and then let me know your options. Thank you so much. This is Naveen Nanjundappa signing off on this topic. See you again in a different topic.